Crash.
Overture, curtain lights. This is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing and nursing apart. We know every part by heart. Overture, curtain lights. This is it, we'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it.
5:33. Time for the 5:30 start. Don't you know? Hey, it's Real Town Live with. Well, we're gonna hit the heights, man. We're gonna hit them. We're gonna hit them hard. We're gonna hit them with the high, as they say over in the Stern Show. Hey, John Thielon here. Tracy Parris gonna join us. My partner in radio, Real Town Crime. Yeah, she's a busy person. I gotta tell you, she's real busy. She's again continuing to teach and mold the little dancers, the minds filled with dancing mush that need to know how to step and turn and, well, all you do to dance. I'm not a dancer, trust me. I do not know. So, hello, Real Town with John and Tracy. Tracy will be back with us live and right here and in living person here before you know it. Next week, week after, we'll get it figured out, but she's got things to do. And so do we, too. Thanks for joining. Hey, give us a buzz. Lord knows we could use one over here. 609 807 2492. Again, 609, your area code. 807 2492. Out of town, don't call collect. Just saying. Just don't. Okay? So, what is new? What's up? What's everybody doing out there tonight? Yeah, it's a wild, wild week. It was nice and cool the other day, and now it's not. How about it, guys? I walked in here. Pardon me, a little tickle. Walked in here about 25 minutes ago or so, and when it was just real, like in your face, kind of hot. What is that? Just real warm. I was inside all day. It's supposed to be like that through the rest of the week here in the Great Northeast, in beautiful downtown Greater Metropolitan Robbinsville, New Jersey, or up the street where I live in East Brunswick. Yay, East Brunswick! Even out in Pennsylvania, where I have a place in Bloomsburg, it's going to be a little tepid, a little moist, a little humid. So, how's the weather by you? I tell you what, you look online, you see on television, you read it wherever you can, or you look at it wherever you can. I have to say, I am happy being here on the East Coast, being in the Northeast, being where I am, because the last thing I need is, oh, I don't know, tornadoes and all this ripping and tearing and carrying on through. Thank you, Gino. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the NBC Dancing N, otherwise known as Uncle Gene. Well, that could be the phone. That could be the phone. And who do we have from the 617? I know who this is.
What's up, homie?
What is up? Where you been, baby?
What are you doing? Oh my God! I'm just like running around like a crazy person. I'm getting in shape. I'm getting in shape at the same time because I'm walking in like 900-degree weather for like 2 hours, 3 hours a day.
About that. Just talking about how, you know what, it's so hot. You know, you walk out of the front door after, being at work and the air conditioning nice all day, and you walk out the door and damn heat. It just hits you right in the face. And that plus, I'm glad I don't live out like in Kansas or any of that business with the tornadoes, and on the West Coast with those heinous fires. No good.
Oh, I know, it's crazy. It's the humidity too, though. It's like I can take the heat. It's that like I can't breathe. I'm inhaling, and there's like no oxygen coming in, and I'm like I might die out here.
Well,
it's that weather.
No dying. Let's not do any of that, ladies and gentlemen. My aforementioned partner, my love, my life, my radio, everything. There she is on the line, Tracy Parris. Hello, Tracy. Yeah.
What's up?
What is
up, everybody?
Zapping it.
And I got to teach again. I got to teach until, for a little while until,
Until you're
we get
done
it together.
teaching.
But then,
I get it.
but my goal is to find us a good sponsor in the meantime while I'm, doing my out for the Wednesdays for a little bit.
Yes, yes.
Find us a sponsor, then I don't have to be so frazzled.
Well, and things are unfolding nicely. Just heard from the top dogs, the head honchos, the big cheeses, as it were, around here, that there are other things undulating, I guess you could say, percolating, happening. There's a big to do down in Frantic City that we've got some visual exposure with. I guess one of the entertainment groups out of Stamford, Connecticut. You might have heard of them, the World Wrestling Entertainment Group. Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. I think I saw that on the Hamilton page today.
They're having a big to-do, and you know what? The HamiltonRadio.net, by the way, if you want to check us out, you can do that there, too. It's right there. I mean, big old, here we are, banner, boom, right in the middle of the whole fiasco. Yeah.
Wow.
That's true.
That's hot.
It's
I love that.
And it's cool.
And it's hot and it's cool. Well, I'll tell you something. Another thing I've been doing in my free time, other than, thinking a lot, getting into deep thought about, past events.
Deep thought.
But one of the things I've been doing, other than also walking vigorously through the heat, is I've been volunteering in the town of Robbinsville.
Wow, what have you been doing?
What up, Robbinsville? What up?
What?
So I have been picking up litter around our wonderful, beautiful lake in Robbinsville.
Ooh.
I went on Saturday and we picked up all the trash. We went in, got all the stuff out of the lake, and because unfortunately people think it's 1965 and that they can just throw things on the ground, even though there's like 8 trash cans around the lake. People still do that, which is bizarre.
I don't know if you remember, because this would be going back to the late 60s, early 70s, and this was a U.S. public service TV commercial type campaign, and you were still up there as a youngster up in Canada, correct?
Correct.
Well, there was, and maybe you've seen it. I'm sure you have, whether you remember it or not. There was it was an Indian coming up off the lake in a canoe, and the canoe, he drags the canoe up off on the shore, and there's all kinds of rubbish, and he's walking through the woods, and there's a little bit more rubbish. He gets out on the top of the hill overlooking the interstate, and somebody's riding by, opens the window, and boom, throws out their hamburger bag full of stuff, and it just goes all over, and it pans back to the Indian, and he's got a tear coming down his face because he loves the land. We all should.
Yep.
We all should.
I actually remember that commercial very well, and I remember
the
one tear. It was just one tear.
That's all.
And it was flowing, so it was flowing so well, and it's such a good speed down his cheek, and it was very powerful.
It proved
very,
the point.
It
really did. And I'm all, even at work. I mean, and you'll remember, even at work, I'm walking in. Probably, I don't know, 3 days out of 4, 4 days out of 5. And, someone's left a soda bottle or a Wawa wrapper or something, just a cigarette, an empty pack of cigarettes, just laying there. And there I am, bending over, picking it up, and just throwing it into the thing. Whatever. Just don't do that. Well, good for you.
Don't do that.
I have to ask, how much junk and garbage and rubbish and whatnot did you happen to come across?
Well, the worst thing is water bottles. That is the worst.
Yeah.
I actually posted on the Robbinsville page the picture that I took. I'm going to have to send it to you. Maybe I'll post. You know what? I'll post it on our page, on the John and Tracy page.
Better yet.
So our listeners can take a look. It was pretty foul, and also fishing gear. So what happens is people come and fish. They leave their tackle, their bait. They leave sometimes fishing line, and that could choke. There's lots of rabbits and birds that can choke and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not good. It's not good.
Well,
but,
it's good to do. I mean, that's while you might not get a dime out of it personally, it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile stuff to do. I mean, by no means am I an environmentalist wacko, but I am aware of my surroundings. And you know what? Pick it up. What? Pick it up.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Why is that so hard?
You just dropped that. Pick it the hell up. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were there 3 hours.
Wow.
Out there, and we got in the heat. It was good though. I felt good. And then I got a text from the mayor of Robbinsville thanking me for my service.
See how nice? See how nice? Yes.
So it's pretty awesome. So I enjoyed that. I think, I want to give back to my community, and whatever I can do to give back to my community is a good thing. And so it's very rewarding, and I'm glad I'm doing it, and I'll do it again and keep doing it until somebody tells me to stop doing it.
Well, and I've got to think, Tracy, that something like that, I don't think, unless it's some idiot, okay, who's just off the rails, anybody worth half their salt is not going to say, you stop that. That's nothing that needs to be done by the likes of you. No. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And I bet you, and don't doubt me, take this almost to the bank, I would say. The more and more this gets done, all of a sudden, like the Pied Piper effect, you'll be doing it, and then there'll be a few coming along to help out, and then a few more, like the old shampoo commercial, and they tell somebody, and they tell somebody, and so on, and so on, and so on. And all of a sudden, in October, you got like 55 people out there picking up, cleaning up, and it only takes 35 minutes compared to 3 hours, It shouldn't take anything because you shouldn't wait around, but I digress.
No, it's true. It's very true. I mean, it's just, I walk around our lake every single day, and then when I see something on the ground, I pick it up.
Of course.
And I'll actually watch people walk by, like an empty bottle, and just walk by it, and there's a garbage right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't you have any conscience? Like, don't you want to just pick it up? Like, isn't there a part of you that goes, I'm lucky to have a lake. I mean, you can see some of these towns in Jersey aren't very clean, and we're very lucky to live in a town that's pretty clean and is very secure and has a beautiful lake, and you can't even pick up a goddamn bottle. Like, what the hell's wrong with you, lazy?
I said, I didn't drop it. I mean, why the hell should I pick it up? Again, and you've heard me say about this. It's the I, me, my syndrome. It's the screw you, I got mine, kind of a attitude that, again, growing up around here. Again, I grew up in East Brunswick, still living there again with Dad at the old homestead. Okay, that's where I grew up, and we moved there in 1970. Okay, and I remember a little bit from where we lived in East Brunswick prior to that, but I was 5. Okay, and I didn't do a whole lot. And it was a busy street, so Mother and Dad didn't like me out doing a whole lot because it was a very busy street there on Ryder's Lane, one of the main arteries through town. So when we moved to Patton Drive, man, it was a neighborhood. It was a neighborhood. It was a little community within the community, and everybody either or really knew one another. And if somebody else came in new, we got to know them. We made the effort. Like when my friend Robert moved in from New York City, we made the effort. Mother and Dad did to get to know, his parents, and we had him over, and we goofed around, he and I as kids, and we. All those years through being an adult, I know this guy, and it doesn't go on anymore. It's not a community anymore. It's a bunch of folks who live on the street. They go to work, they come home, they don't act, react, interact, or counteract with one another, and it's not a community. Come on, say hello at least. Hey, what's up?
Exactly.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's just he lived there. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand it, but if I can do my part, I'm going to do my part. I actually just read on Facebook someone ran over a rabbit, picked it up, brought it to the hospital, and the rabbit got a brand new leg, got a cast on his leg and everything.
Oh my! Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Care.
So they're out there.
Isn't that beautiful?
They're out there. They're out there. That's
It's a
good.
beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
That is nice. I mean, it's.
What's going on in John's world?
Well, I'm every day, every way, I'm getting a little bit better and a little bit better. After that medical hoo-ha that knocked me down pretty hard about a month and a half ago, I've put 10 pounds back on.
What? What are you eating?
That's well,
10 pounds?
Well, I'm actually eating. I didn't hardly eat in the damn hospital, and when I got home, I'm like, I don't want any food. I feel like crap. So now that I'm not feeling like total piles of garbage, I'm like, all right, let's actually eat like a human being. So, yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm still down. I'm still down weight-wise. From when you saw me last, but. Getting better and better. I had, I got some follow-up appointments coming, but enough about that. I don't want to sound like the old guy in a retirement village. Oh, I got that lumbago. I gotta go by the doctor next week, and then I gotta get my toenails clipped by the podiatrist because I can't bend over no more. And then the wife's.
But that will be you one day.
No, it won't. No, because then I gotta take Hazel to the that stupid cardiologist. I mean, we all know she hasn't got a heart. By crap's sakes, I mean the damn cardiologist keeps feeding her Lipitor or whatever the hell it is.
Lipitor. What are the side effects of Lipitor? Suicidal thoughts. Anal leakage.
Up to and including death.
I love that. Isn't that your favorite thing when you're watching those commercials? Mm-hmm. I think it is the funniest. Like, who in their right mind watches those and goes, you know what? I want to take that. The one with suicidal tendencies, that one.
No,
I want that one.
No,
really?
Do you remember about a dozen years ago when they had those potato chips with the artificial whatever the hell it was,
yes.
the Olestra?
Olestra.
And Ray Romano did a bit, and we all know we've got a very good friend, sounds a little like him, but Ray Romano did a little bit of. Why in the hell would you want these potato chips with Olestra? Look at the label. Says may cause anal leakage.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's right. Anal leakage.
I never tried them. I was not rolling that dice.
I think I did once, but just to see if my ass would leak. Because, I wanted to know. How could you not want to find out if your ass was going to leak?
I kind of did, but I'm like, you know what? Well, I don't want to do it at work. Okay. I don't want to do it on the way to and from work at that point because it was an hour and a half ride for me each way. Let's see here. I'm not home all that much during the week, so I want to make sure that my time is quality. You know what? I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass.
And you're gonna pass gas. Ooh, all right. Anal leakage.
Excuse me, please. Excuse me, please. I don't mean to be rude. It was not me. It was my food. It just came up to say hello, and now it's going back down below.
oh, yeah, baby.
Behave.
Behave.
Oh man. So I thought of you. I thought of you this week. I'm watching the and whenever it started, it might have even been started last week. How about our friend from CBS, Mr. Les Moonves?
I know. Isn't he married to Connie Chung? Not Connie Chung.
Julie Chen.
The one who does.
Yeah, Julie Chen.
What?
She does Big
Julie
Brother.
Julie Chen, right, yeah. right. From Big Brother.
Yep. And
aren't they?
She is standing by her man. She released that Twitter basically saying, "I stand behind my husband. He's a wonderful man. He's a fantastic human being. He's a super father, and I stand behind him." This I think was last week, and then somebody else supposedly came forward after 20 some odd years. That's the thing I got a problem with. Really? Come on.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm a woman. And I'm going to say this, and this may piss a lot of women off that I'm about to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. There are a lot of women, and I know a lot, who pretend and pose and lie in order to get back to men. Right. I know people like this. I had a friend, she's not my friend anymore, but I had a friend who would purposely try to ruin men's lives when they dumped her. She would purposely go out of her way to call their job, to, write letters and slash tires and all that other stuff. I know women like this, okay? So that being said, okay, this is in no means disregarding the reality of it, because to be honest, and I'm not, saying anything, if I had $1 for every time a man made a sexual advance at me or touched me in an inappropriate way, I'd have a lot of money.
I understand.
I mean, and it is what it is. Now, some men I would excuse because of their age, because I'd be like, well, the guy's like 70. He doesn't know.
Right.
Which, so my problem is this. I think it goes back to Matt Lauer, and I think I've said this before. Matt Lauer, he probably was a pig, I'm sure. I'm sure he used his power and was like, hey, baby, nice tits. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I didn't like was one of the women said I was in a consensual relationship with him, but he used his power. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that he, I'm sorry, I got distracted by a little child when I'm talking about. So, I was like, "This child, that's
here, sweetie. Here, listen to my conversation."
I didn't like that she was in a consensual relationship with him, and then she blew the whistle, and she said, "Well, it was consensual. I was into him, he was into me. We were having sex, but he was using his power." Well, this is what I'm going to say: a man in power is attractive. It is a proven fact. If you have money, if you're in a position of power, if you're in uniform, military men, cops, firemen, there's a lot of men that women look to, and they say, "Wow, that's really attractive," and they'll say, "I'm available." And did he use that to his advantage? I'm sure he did, but I don't like that she felt the need to come public with that. Now, like Harvey Weinstein, absolutely, he's a pig. Because if you listen to those tapes, they're disgusting. He's disgusting, dude. Like, he's gross.
That's a whole different pig and a whole different poke. And I think that there's that to me is the smoke, fire. You know what I mean? When there's one, you pretty much got the other. And I'm with you too on that whole Lauer thing. I mean, again, none of us were in the room. I wouldn't want to be in the room, but okay, if once or twice out of somebody with he had a button and he would lock the door. Okay, once or twice is kind of a fluke. You start getting twice or more with unsolicited or I don't know just random remarks. That's
unwanted or yeah.
That's a trend. Now you've got a trend. Okay.
Yeah. Right, that's a trend. Exactly.
And from looking at it at the other perspective, from the male perspective, all right, going back however many years, that kind of nonsense, that kind of carrying on, I guess you could say, I don't want to say was acceptable, but it wasn't. You didn't get the skunk eye so much, okay? You didn't get the hairy eyeball so much. And if you did, and I can only speak for me, you know what? I'm done. I'm sorry. Will never happen again. And it didn't, and it wouldn't, okay? Now so that's one side of my male coin. The other thing that really, right, wrong, or indifferent, and I apologize, but then again I kind of don't, okay? Since, what was it, 1993? Let me tell you what, that's 25 years. That's a quarter of a century. That's 2.5 decades. Where have you been? If this happened in 93, why didn't you pipe the hell up in 93? Okay, or even 94?
Well, because now everybody's talking about it.
Well, but
now it's in the open.
I understand that, but it wasn't any less right and or wrong or appropriate or inappropriate then as it was now. And you know what? Okay, if it happened 25 days ago or 25 even months ago, still stretching it a little bit, but still, okay, I get it. But then everybody's all, and half a lather because, the judge said the statute of limitations. Well, why did he say it? Because it did expire. It's been 25 years. That's older than my son's been on the planet. Okay? Please. You've got an axe to grind. Get to it. Don't jump on a bandwagon and expect the big freaking payday. That's not how it's that's not how it's supposed to work. And too many people do, and too many people are. And I get it. You were wrong. You were disrespected. You were besmirched. Used whatever lazy language or adjective you want. I get it. Okay. Again, when I got the knock it off, the skunk eye, the hairy eyeball, the SWAT or whatever, like don't do that. You know what? I didn't do that. So that's just how that is with me. Okay.
Right.
No skeletons in my closet on that. So.
Well, look at what happened to Chris Hardwick. He's the guy who hosted. He has a couple of game shows. He has a night show. He does the Walking Dead after show. I mean, he's pretty popular, especially like he does Comic-Con.
Sure. And
he was actually suspended from his job pending a story that his ex-girlfriend released, saying that he used to abuse her sexually, emotionally, whatever. And
not cool.
They did an investigation, and he was reinstated. And because there was no one else who complained, it was just the ex-girlfriend, and they did the investigation. And he's married, and I remember I think I got into it with Lynn Almonds, our own Lynn Edmonds, and we talked about it. And Lynn was really upset, and I said, Lynn, you know what though? I said there's always two sides, and I hate to say that, and I think some women are offended by me saying that. Wow. They're offended by it, and I get it, but coming from an abusive relationship, which I have,
understood.
You see, but I understand what it's like to be in those shoes. If you don't, shut up. That's the way I look at it. So, you don't understand unless you're in those shoes, and it's happening to you. So, what happened between him and his girlfriend at the time, it may have been abusive at the time, but the relationship ended. He moved on. She moved on. So why come out with a story?
Right.
For what purpose? Why?
Well,
what are you gaining from it?
Some sort of gain, even if it's just attracting attention to myself.
Right.
Let alone
because if that
financial.
Were the case, I would put my exes on blast for everything they've ever done to me, but my exes aren't famous. Therefore,
there it is.
Why would I do that? But if my ex got famous, would I come out and say, he used to do this to me? Well, why would I? For what do I have to gain? So that's the way I look at it.
I'm not saying I was a choir boy, I mean, there was plenty of times, and it was usually just the sarcastic and the retorts, just sort of, verbally when I was younger, in my 20s, and even some in my 30s and so on. And you know what? That's enough. When there's a zing to be thrown, okay, I'll zing you. But I just used to do it because I thought it was funny. And sometimes it was, but most of the time in retrospect, it really was not. Okay?
Yeah, agreed.
It cost me some relationships, but I wasn't physical abuse guy, thank God, because that just isn't cool. That's not how to do. That's not how to do being, a sarcastic, emotional abuse guy either. And I got out of that, just on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a much lower number than physical abuse to me, but it's still a number, and don't do that. It cost me some friendships, male and female, through the years, and it contributed to relationships years and years ago, probably more than 25 years ago now, in that time frame, going away. Okay. Chalk it up. I mean, and we've moved along, and so it goes. It's going to be interesting to see how any more of this whole Les Moonves business unfolds. I mean, I'm not interested to the point of I have to see everything about it, but it's out there. It's out there.
Definitely interesting.
And
I do follow all that stuff, and I've had a lot of free time on my hands, so I'm doing a lot of reading. So
right.
It's pretty interesting, but I have to go because
it is that time, 6 o'clock
already.
Yeah, let's go.
6 o'clock.
Mold those little dancers. Make them jump, dance, and plie, and whatever it is they do.
They are going to be plieing and jumping and driving me crazy. But what I can say is I hope that a whole bunch of people call in because, for the next half an hour, John needs some people to call in. So come on, call on in.
609
What's the number, John?
Yeah, 609-807-2492, or should I correct myself? Pet peeve 609-807-2492.
92. All right. I will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. I'll miss you, my Johnny. I'll see you soon, my love.
I love you too, baby. Have fun, do your thing, and get back here as soon as you can.
I will.
All right.
Love you.
Bye. There she goes. The Tracy half of the John and Tracy Real Town show. Real Town with John and Tracy is on. It's live. I am here in living person. Me, my. In a good way, not in a selfish way. I got to tell you, back to that for a second. Again, growing up, for the most part as a child in the 70s and then as a young man in the early 80s before I went off to college, in East Brunswick, New Jersey. It was not so much I, me, my, and or, screw you, I got mine. The story goes, my one buddy, his father was a civil engineer for the city of New York. It's like 1979, 14 years old we both are. We got it. We're old enough. We're ready to know what's going on. We're ready to be men of the world. And he goes to his father and says, Dad, we're old enough. We're 14. Sorry about that. What's it all about? And his father's name, incidentally, was not Alfie, just saying. And his father said, Robert, you need to remember two things if you remember nothing else. All right, Dad, give me what you got. Number one, somebody will always be attempting to separate you from your dollar. Number one. Okay. Number two, remember these words because you're going to feel it, see it, experience it, and hear it all your life. Screw you, I got mine. So he comes back into the room. I'm like, okay, how did it go? How did it go? What's it all about? He says, someone's going to be always trying to separate you from your dollar, and screw you, I got mine. 14 years old. This just in. We didn't get it. We didn't get it. Gene, would you have gotten it at 14 years old, sir? I
don't think so. I would have either.
Again, we were, like when you go up to the dog, and you purse your lips and you go, and the dog goes, That's the look we both had. About 10 years ago, actually more like almost 15, I'm on my way to work one morning. I had that long commute I was just mentioning of about an hour and a half, and he knew I had some seat time in the car every morning, so sometimes he would call. He now lives in Florida, and he has for probably almost 30 years. And he calls me and he says, I got it. Like, I pick up the phone. Hello, good morning. Hey, what's up? And I got it. I'm like, what'd you get? He goes, no. And he's an old Queens guy. No. Remember when my father said about, the separating you from your dollar and screw you, I got mine? He goes, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot all about that. I'm like 40. We're like 40 now, okay? And he's like, think about it a second. I'm like, uh-huh. Oh, uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes. And as kids growing up in this neck of the woods, again, central New Jersey, specifically where I was in East Brunswick, you know what? We didn't get that. And that was a good thing because you know what? We didn't need to get that. I have a hunch, Gino, that kids, whether they know it now or not, and I sound like my mother.
These kids today, I have to tell you, these kids today, it's always about instant gratification.
Yes, Mother. Okay, thank you. Don't you have some bridge to play or something? Miss you, Mom. I really do. She's been gone 4 years. But I think whether they know it or not, they have got the never mind the separating you from your dollar. That'll come and they'll get it soon enough. But the screw you, I got mine thing, it's I, me, my. It's on the road. It's in where you go shopping. It could be the grocery store. It could be the shopping plaza. It could be the farmer's market. It could be the mall. It could be what. screw you, I got mine. Not to sound like some old crusty guy, but all of a sudden the 14-year-olds are like 14 going on 40. Screw you, I got mine. Those are my sneakers. Give me them. You know, put the jacket down. I got the sneakers. Whatever. Okay, we didn't have that back then. So, where did you grow up? When did you grow up out there? Did you have the screw you, I got mine, jungle drums beating in your neighborhood? 609 807 2492. Weigh in on that or whatever else is on your mind. This is Real Town. We keep it real. We keep the topics real. What about it? What do you think about this whole Les Moonves business? I don't know what to think. Here's what I do think. And again, not to sound like my mom or my Grammy, I think it's a damn shame. It's just a damn shame all the way around that this kind of thing is being, it's either happening and or being put into the spotlight because of it happening, really or not. Now, here's something else in my little world. It's a good time of year, generally speaking, for folks like me. I'm a baseball fan and I'm a football fan. The Hall of Fame game at football out in Canton, Ohio, for the National Football League. The Hall of Fame induction is this weekend, and the Hall of Fame game is also over the weekend. I believe it's actually Monday night, if memory serves. So football time, professional football time is back. You know what? Can we not? What do you think, Gino? Can we not make a big deal about all this standing and kneeling and all this? I mean, okay. You know what? Again, like we talked about last week with Coach Evans, if I'm the owner of fill in the blank professional National Football League football team, and I make the rules because you're at work for me, if I say stand for the 60 seconds it takes at the beginning of the game, please just stand. If like the folks on some of the other teams, like I'm pretty sure the Jets, and I think my beloved Giants are like, do what you want. Okay, then guess what? Do what you want, but you know what? Do the right thing. Again, it's not always about attracting attention to yourself, again, because you know what? You do that on your own time. But it's a good time of year. Training camp is in full gear with football. The Jets finally signed their rookie, hopefully phenom, Sam Darnold, the quarterback. They signed him, and he had his first day of practice, I guess, on Monday. They were off yesterday, so I'm sure he practiced again today, wearing number 14. P.S. That's the old Richard Todd number. Richard Todd's the quarterback who came in right after Joe Namath was traded out to the Los Angeles Rams or the San Francisco 49ers. I think it was the Rams, if memory serves. That's a long time ago, Gene. Holy fright! Yeah, I had my Jets sweatshirt as a kid. Yeah, big stuff. The Giants, they've got their Saquon Barkley situation all firmly in hand. This kid, he's a rookie, but to me, he's a kid. I'm 53, and he, is not. He's gonna be set up to be an absolute beast. The young man is going to just truck the defensive players, especially the defensive backs. He's going to be able to catch out of the backfield. He's going to be able to block out of the backfield, or even if they put him out as a receiver, either tight end or as a slot receiver. The man can block, and not for anything, dude has some wheels. Evidently, the story has been, and the scuttlebutt has been, in these organized team activities and now in training camp these first few days, when they got pads and helmets on, he does these routes around the end, and the defensive backs and the linebackers come up and try to catch him, and he's, never mind another gear, he's got another gear, so they can't catch him. So hopefully there'll be a little lightning in a jug here this season and these next few with Mr. Saquon Barkley up in the Jersey Meadowlands wearing the big blue. I think this is going to re-energize Eli Manning as well. A new coach New head coach, new system, new offense. There's all kinds of things. And then we go back to baseball, and we've got the yin and the yang out of New York and Philly. The yin are the Yankees and the Phillies. The Yanks are doing a very good job this year. They only trail the Red Sox, who are just doing phenomenally, as we all know who follow baseball. Red Sox are amazing, but they did lose last night to back to the Philadelphia Phillies, who are also atop the National League East. Now for the Yang, the New York Metropolitan Baseball Club. I turned it off last night when it was 19-3. 19-3. Really? Yeah. Wow. That's just horrible. That's 2 touchdowns, a field goal, and a safety by the Nationals. And if you were playing football, of course. And 19, and I understand, and I was at work and I couldn't see it. I think they were playing this afternoon because it's a getaway day here off to another town for some more baseball. I think they were losing pretty lopsidedly as well. You know what? We went through the George Bamberger era back as the manager back in the early 80s, and that was abysmal. Abysmal. Guess what? We're back. 1986, this is not. It's not even 84 when they started to get a little good. So, who's your team? Who's your team? Who do you like? Where are you from? 609-807-2492. Let's talk about it. You know, let's see what's doing. Let's see who's banging the drum for what teams out there. What football team are you excited for? Could be pro, NFL. Could be college, because we're coming up on college football too here in about a month. Matter of fact, about 4 weeks, I'm going to say from this weekend, should start the college and the high school, for that matter, the high school and college football seasons. Who do you like? Okay? Do you play by chance? Have you played by chance? Do you have a relative, a son, a nephew, whomever that plays, a neighbor who plays, in college and or around in high school? Let's talk about it. Where are you from? Who do you like? Who's hot? Who's doing what they're doing? How about baseball? I mean, now it's going to start to get interesting, because you know what? We've only got August and September. This is where the rubber's going to meet the road, and where, you know what? For example, the Yankees are going to hang tough and perhaps catch the Red Sox, or not. My prediction where that's concerned is the Red Sox are just going to plow through the American League, through the playoffs, and at the very least get to the American League Championship, if not the World Series itself. I mean, hey, we're a ways off. We're literally 2 months away from all of that happening. A lot of games, about 55, 60, 65 games left, give or take. Miles and miles before we sleep. Miles to go before we sleep. And again, we've got about 5 weeks or so until we have kickoff. Yeah, until we have kickoff. Right after the middle of the second week, I believe in September, Thursday night kicks it off for the National Football League. Once again, who's your teams? Who do you like? How do you like it? What do you think? How do you like it? Quick as a wink, call us again. Call us again. Or, you know what? Jot it down, think about it, and buzz us up next week. 609 area code 807-2492. Are you warm, fellas? Would you run outside or something? You who?
I left the hard drive that I used to back up like a lot of the shows, put the shows on there.
Yeah.
And I left it in my console. I forgot about it. I'm like, I only left it about an hour ago. It's freaking, you can't do that.
Well, it's like, you don't leave the child, don't leave the pet in the car, don't leave the hard drive in the car, Gene.
You know what's funny about that, John? Let me explain something to you. Somebody asked me last night about that. And I said, when you're a parent and you're running around nuts. Now, I know it's not, I'm not going to get on the side of saying that, you can forget, but you can forget. My wife forgot the girls one time.
Whoops.
And I said, where are the girls? She says, oh, I picked them up and they're in the living room. I said, they're not in the living room.
No.
She's like, they're not? I'm like, no. I said, where are they? She says, oh my God, I left them in the car.
Oh.
But she's not a bad mom. It's just that she had so much going on, and they try to pin things on people.
I hear you.
And, it's just one of them things. I mean, you don't expect to do it. The girls were a little older then, but they fell asleep.
Right.
I mean, they were actually in my garage, nice and shady.
Right.
But it was hot.
Right. Oh, sure.
The doors were closed, the windows were open, which is good.
Yep.
But they were in it's like sitting out in the shade.
Right.
So thank God she didn't keep them out in the sun.
Well, this is it.
But it does happen, and I see it happen. It happens with animals, and it happens with kids.
Well, I got to tell you, when this is years ago. This is probably going back into the mid-late '60s, and I can barely, very vaguely remember this. Again, when I was a little guy, we lived on Riders Lane in East Brunswick, and if anybody is familiar at all with Riders Lane in East Brunswick, more toward the New Brunswick side than down toward the municipal building. It's now 4 lanes, by the way, 4 divided lanes, okay? It should have been that, 50 years ago, but was not. But again, I digress. We lived, our address was 94 Riders Lane. It was 3 doors up from Corona Road where the little gas station is. Used to be a Chevron station years ago. Now it's a Raceway. Hello, can I fill you up, please? Yeah, sure. The guy's name is Singh. He sees me every time I go by to get pizza pie or something. I can stop and get
Does
gas.
he sing?
Yeah. Oh, a little song, a little dance, a little seltzer down your pants. Go ahead, Pookie. Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice League. So my aunt and uncle and cousins would come in from Pennsylvania. They would take, matter of fact, it would be this week. They would take the first week of August off as vacation. And they do something themselves either the first 2 or 3 days or the last 2 or 3 days of vacation. They usually did it the first 2 or 3 because my dad had to work, so they figured we'd do something Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, show up Wednesday evening, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, blah, blah, blah. And Saturday, Dad would be around. We go to the fair, the Middlesex County Fair, like on Thursday night. We do something else on Friday, maybe a park or a zoo or a Turtleback Zoo or something like that, and then Saturday we'd all go to the beach. My uncle and my one cousin loved the beach. She still does. She's got a place down in Delaware that she could literally walk if she had to the beach. Loves it. Okay, but it's like 1967. Okay, maybe 68, maybe 66. It's in there someplace. And my Uncle Drew would drive us down because they had a 67 Chevy Biscayne wagon. So we could all fit, and my one cousin hadn't been born yet, or she was just very, very tiny. So she wasn't doing a whole lot if she was a baby. But my other cousin, who, again, with the place in Delaware, she's like 6 years older than me. Yeah. Loves the beach. So if I'm like 4, she's 10, okay? And you know how it is, Gene. You go to the beach, you ram around all day, and all of a sudden, about halfway home, you're about ready for a nap, okay? If even halfway home. God forbid you're driving, man, because you got to stay awake. So my Uncle Drew's driving back, and it's him and my dad and my aunt up in front, my mom, myself, and my older cousin, my aunt up front holding the baby, I think, and my older cousin in the back, Nancy. And doesn't Nancy just about third of the way, half of the way, coming home from Avon by the Sea, night, okay? So, it's one of those deals, and again, it's 1967 or 68. Central air conditioning was the exception, not the rule. You're right. Okay? Mother and dad.
460 air or 440, 455 air.
Yeah. Oh my. Well, yeah. That's
the 4 windows down and 55 miles an hour.
I had a Volkswagen Rabbit, sidebar. I had a Volkswagen Rabbit, an 81 Rabbit with the crank 'em open sunroof, 4-door. No air conditioning, and it had the dark blue Naugahyde seats. There must have been 85 Naugas gave their lives for those seats, but I digress again. Thank you. I'm here all week. Try the fish. And I had 560 air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I used to sweat my ka-chungs off on that. I love that car, except for the summer. Anyway, we're coming home from the beach, and there's Nancy all raxed out in the car. We only had a room air conditioner in Mother and Dad's master bedroom. And what they would do through the summer, they'd have card club and everything, is they would have, whenever they had people over and were entertaining in the summer, and it was like today, broiling ass hot, they'd move the bed over and move a couple pieces of furniture over, put the card tables up, the TV was up there as well, and they'd have bridge club or, a dinner party, like a casual dinner party, not like in the winter when you put the dog on. They'd have it up in the air-conditioned bedroom. I remember that, and I was like, paradise. Well, the rest of the house was broiling hot just because it was like today. Second of all, add in that my mom and my aunt and dad and my uncle were preparing dinner, so you had the kitchen all heated up, okay? There she is asleep, and it's a nice day. It's just a sunny day, and all the windows are down, and she's asleep. And and she was notorious from this even before I was born. They'd let her sleep in the car while they fixed dinner. And when dinner was done, about 45 minutes later, they go out, again, along busy Riders Lane, which evidently wasn't as busy then as it is now. Now you couldn't do that, and you wouldn't want to anyway. But they just let her sleep. One of the adults would every few minutes, walk out and just do one of these, and she's fine. And then when supper was ready, they wake her up, clean her up, and upstairs, and boom, boom. You couldn't do that today for a variety of reasons, not the least of which, getting the business from the abuse police. No harm. There was no foul. There was no nothing. All the windows were down. And there was a tree right there by it. So, like you said, with when that happened with your weird little girls, it wasn't like it was this, broiling heat, coming down on you. It was just warm, and she was tired from bouncing around on the waves all day. Sleep, rest, That's what you did back then. Can't do that now.
That's another comment I want to make. I mean, we had 90s in the 60s. I mean, we had really hot days. I remember as a kid growing up.
Of course.
And we didn't have, no air conditioning. You're right. But at the same time, I think we're more conditioned. Because when I worked in a hot garage, I worked in a hot garage.
Yeah.
I got outside. I'm like, oh, my God, this is cool.
Yeah.
Because it depends on your perception of what you think is cool.
Of course.
If somebody works in a hot kitchen all day long and they go into an air conditioner, you feel it exactly right away. Mm-hmm. Hit you in the face because that sense of temperature change is like instantaneous.
And it's almost not healthy.
But that's what I'm saying.
If it really, that's like jumping into a cold pool. Sidebar for a second. Again, I worked with a guy when I worked at Toys R Us when I was 16. Barry Rosen was his name, assistant manager. And Barry at that point was probably in his late 20s. And he told the story about when he was 18 years old. It was an inordinately hot day early in the pool season. Mm-hmm. Because you open the pool up and it's usually kind of, you're shivering in the pool, you're shivering out of the pool because the water's cold and the air's cold. Well, it was an inordinately hot day. They were playing ball or doing something and ripping and tearing and carrying on like kids, like just being funky good kids. And all of a sudden, hey, we should, let cool off in the pool. Didn't he jump in that cold pool that had only been open a very short time? And it shocked him to the point to where he, I don't want to say died, but he had an episode to where everything stopped. And then they thought he was goofing around, and after like a minute, thankfully it was only about a minute, someone went in there, went down, got him, pulled him out, gave him either CPR and or mouth to mouth, and he, right back. But it shocked him because that water was so cold. And I can imagine, working in a hot kitchen, 100 and some odd degrees, 110 degrees with the gas and the heat and the flames and the food and the what. You walk into a place where it's 72 degrees, it just, boom, it's heat and humid to where it's cool and arid. That's not
and
healthy.
the problem is the body never gets adjusted to it because it's a constant off and on thing.
Sure.
And if it's a gradual change, your body will accept it and relax, and you'll be fine.
Absolutely.
But most people are like, oh, I got to get the air conditioner. I got to get into the air conditioner. And I am at that level now because when I'm without air conditioning, I feel like I can't breathe.
Oh, I hear you.
I feel like I can't do anything.
Well, again, it's now the norm.
I got to have the fan on at night.
Oh, yeah.
Blowing over me, and then I got to have it full blast.
Yeah.
My wife's like, it's cold in here. I'm like, I'm hot. I got the full blast fan.
Feels good to me.
Yeah. And then, we won't go into it, but she's,
a woman of a certain age.
It's very hard because she doesn't, doesn't wear any clothes when she goes to bed, and it's just, I gotta tell you.
Poking out my mind's eye.
As a male,
eye.
it's just, it keeps the marriage happy. That's all I can say.
That a boy. Good for you. There you go.
There's one benefit of that.
All right. We like that. Hey, and that's a good thing. You know what? Keep that going, pal. Yeah. No doubt. Even, and it can go the other way, too. When I was probably 17, 18, 19, I worked up at Raritan Center Industrial Park, just off of Exit 10. What exit? Exit 10 of the New Jersey Turnpike. That was the old munitions arsenal up through the late 60s, early 70s for the U.S. Army. Well, all of a sudden, they didn't need all that property anymore, and they sold it to the Vishalia brothers, one who had Summit Associates, lots of buildings, not as many warehouses, and then Frank Vishalia, lots of warehouses, almost no buildings.
Right.
Okay, that's who I worked for. I worked for Federal Business Centers. Okay, and I was on the maintenance crew. Dad hooked me up because he was the VP of the only bank branch in the Raritan Center at that time, and they did business and blah blah. Hey, well, we could use. Oh, my son's coming home from school here in a couple of months. Yeah, have him come by. So I was on the maintenance crew for 3 summers in a row. You could not wear shorts. They didn't require back then that you wore steel-tip shoes, but you couldn't wear shorts. And you're out there, you're slinging mulch, you're with the weed whacker, you're doing this, you're doing that, and you get all schmutzy. Pardon me, I only had 1 or 2 pair of jeans because at school I'm not getting dirty. I mean, you wear them a couple days in a row, pop them in the wash, wear the other ones a couple days in a row, pop them in the hamper, and then on Sunday you do wash. Okay. So I had them, and I had corduroys, the Levi's, not the real wide pattern, but the real thin corduroys. Okay, that were like they were like almost jeans.
It's like wearing cardboard.
Yeah,
because it keeps the heat trapped in.
Right. Yeah. And those heavy
moisture,
those heavy denim jeans, same kind of thing, and they were to me they were like the almost jeans because they were the Levi 5-pocket, the whole bit, except for they were were corduroys. So I'd wear jeans or I can remember there was like an off-white pair, a dark blue pair, and a light blue pair of corduroys. So I had 5 pair of pants every week, and on the weekend I'd have the laundry done. And the first very short period of time, summer of '83, I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, oh. Now, if it was a blazing hot day, Walt didn't mind you took your shirt off, okay? I mean, but it had to be hot. I mean, subjective, of course, but I mean, he didn't mind. If it gets warm out, you can take your shirt off, but I can't have you wear the shorts. I mean, it's just we can't have that there. Okay, Walt, no problem. And then after a very short period of time, I got used to that. I mean, it'd be like today. Here I am running around in corduroys, Levi cords, or Wrangler jeans, and to this day, it doesn't faze me. It doesn't faze me. I'll get my wife talking about, oh my God, what are you wearing those jeans for? Because it's illegal to not wear pants, out in public. No, I mean, it's just going to be so hot. I'm like, I'm good. Oh, that's right, that whole industrial park thing. I said, it was 30-some years ago, but I mean, it still holds true. Yeah. At any rate, you get conditioned to what you get conditioned to. We had the central air put in at the house in '72. That was my mom. Mother, that was all you because, like you just said, Oh, I can't breathe. Oh, it's so hot. Oh, I hate being cooped up in just this room or that room where the window unit is. Well, then get another window unit. No, we're going to get central. And then they did, you know. So from 72 on, it became the norm. And so it goes. And so now, so do I. 6:31, 31 after 6, 29 till 7. Oh, 89 till 8. Bing bong. Good evening, everybody. That's the Real Town Experience with John and Tracy for this week. She'll be back as soon as she can here. Tracy, if you haven't had a chance to experience Tracy here with me live and in living person, it's a treat. She's a nice gal. She's a good friend. She's a good personality and a heck of a character and just a perfect fit for just the opinionated, without being over the top kind of BS that we talk about around here. Okay, so enjoy the week. The Alpha Male Show is coming up 7 o'clock. You want to be an alpha male? You want to know how to be an alpha male? This is the place to learn. Hang out. Go get a coffee. Have something to eat and dial on back and bring it on back in about 28 minutes. Until then, we will catch you next week on Real Town with John and Tracy. Peace.